based on the information given on the first encounter assignment. What is your initial opinion on the use of embryonic stem cells to treat disease?
I found that the use of embryonic stem cells was not justified because embryos have the potential for life. However, there were some exceptions to when it is okay to use stem cells. For example, if the embryo is considered biological waste in a scientific laboratory, then the embryo should be used only for therapeutic purposes. Otherwise, adult stem cells should be used, despite their limited potential and difficulty of isolation.
The human body is composed of over 200 cell types, each designated to a particular function. So for example, a pancreatic cell is involved in the function of the pancreas, and the nerve cell is involved in the function of the brain and spinal cord. Some set of cells, however, are different. These are called stem cells. Stem cells not only have the capacity to make more stem cells, but also to make different cell types. For example, a skin stem cell can make all cells of the skin. A muscle stem cell can make all the cells of the muscles. And the blood stem cell can make all the cells of the blood. For many years, adult stem cells have been used therapeutically for the treatment of some cancers and rare blood diseases. Generally speaking, there are two types of stem cells, embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. Embryonic stem cells can generate all types of cells of the human body, and adult stem cells have a limited repertoire. In the treatment of diabetes or motor neuron disease, there doesn't seem to be an adult stem cell that can create insulin-secreting cells in the pancreas, or motor neurons that are lost in motor neuron disease. Scientists and clinicians need the type of stem cell to treat these diseases, and thus, in certain cases, embryonic stem cells are needed. Stem cells can be used directly to treat diseases. For example, bone marrow and the stem cells they contain have been used for the treatment of some cancers of rare blood diseases. Scientists are even more excited about the indirect use of stem cells. We can learn more about how stem cells make stem cell types. We can use stem cells to make better and more effective drugs. So in essence, they are a source of different cell types which you can use to generate new drugs and learn about how disease happens. Some people say that embryonic stem cells are not required due to induced pluripotent transduction, and this is not exactly true, because embryos are needed to study early human development and pathologies and diseases associated with early stage of development. In 2007, scientists discovered if they introduce certain genes into a cell, they can make the cell forget what it is, so it reverts back to an iPS cell, which is like a stem cell. It's as if you hit someone in the back of the head and they forgot who they are, so they have to remember everything again, but sometimes memories do reemerge, and this is where we are in the state of the research.
Stem cells are one of the only treatment sources to the most common and dangerous diseases and disorders now, and as a result they must be used. However, their use should be regulated in their respected sources. This regulation will hinder the progress of the medical breakthroughs. However, ethical barriers must be put in place, as stem cells are a very sensitive and delicate thing.
What is your position on the use of embryonic stem cells from existing cell lines?
Embryonic stem cells from existing cell lines should continue to be unregulated, as this has the most consequential result for researchers and scientists. Embryonic stem cell lines are potentially capable of avoiding the rejection complications of stem cell therapies for cancer, diabetes, spinal cord injury, kidney disease, and Parkinson's disease. By using genetic material of transplant recipients to generate unique stem cells, society could finally solve the persistent problem of a lack of suitable organs. This will save many lives and improve the quality of life of thousands. Obviously, the pros outweigh the cons.
What is your position on the use of embryonic stem cells from discarded embryos from IVE clinics?
Upon consent of the donor, discarded embryos from IVE clinics should be available to stem cell research. These stem cells would have been biological waste, and making use of them will be very economically feasible. It will have no effect to anybody and is benign since those embryos now have a purpose.
What is your position on use of embryonic stem cells from embryos created by IVE for research?
I am against the use of stem cells from embryos created by in vitro fertilization for research, mainly because this is a very intruding procedure. As a Muslim and a moralist, the cons of this procedure really outweigh the pros. Creating embryos by in vitro fertilization for research is no different than abortion or infanticide. It is a destructive process and I reject this practice as it devalues and violates human life.
What is your position on use of embryonic stem cells created by therapeutic cloning?
My stance towards use of embryonic stem cells created by therapeutic cloning has remained the same, but I strongly prohibit human reproductive cloning because it took scientists more than 250 attempts to create Dolly. It would be very unethical to practice those odds to humans.